guys, Ken here. I totally messed up on the video here, but I just want to place myself in here for the intro. This is something slightly different. Hope you enjoy, and I'm going to go ahead and keep talking about this. Sorry, this is a re-recording because I fucked up and took a still photo for this segment. Take care, guys. Okay, hi guys. Ken here. Little clapboard, very handy for syncing multiple videos at once. I've got right now my laptop recording me. I've got a screen capture of a PDF that of a book I'm talking about, and I've got my little Action 4 Pro that's recording audio. So today I want to do something a little different. I want to talk about a photo book, and the book is entitled Walking by Jarrett, Emerson, Heather. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but Jarrett is someone I've met on the online photographic community for 10 plus years. Never met in person, but he's since published a book through the Mississauga Public Library system, and it's a photo book. So I kind of want to talk about it because these days, photo books are super easy to make, but not a lot of people make them. And for anyone who is a photographer, you're interested in creating work, just make shit. Make stuff, because making stuff is really one of those things where it's magical. Like, I teach at a post-secondary education program where people are required to create work and to kind of dictate a structure for them to create this highly profitable commercial type work. The pressure is enormous. And when you're in, college, university, doing that for the first time, not having the playtime, not having that mentality where it's play, and it's experimentation, and it's doing all the stuff that breaks the rules, like, that's where the magic is. That's where you discover your tastes. That's where you discover your motivations for what you want to do. And I think people get stuck on all these external pressures forced upon your work, and you're not even making anything you like. And here's like the hard truth, guys. I'm going to go for a little rant here. But the stuff that you make commercially doesn't push you. It never pushes you. It's always someone who has an idea of what they want, and you're executing it. No one's ever going to hand you the reins and say, do whatever you want. And that's the commercial world, unfortunately, from my opinion anyways. And then there is like the 1% low, they give them free rein for that kind of stuff. But to really gain that skill set and be confident is working on the ability to play, the ability to just create images and just see what comes of it. Like, that is a huge part of one of the coolest things about making work is you create the stuff, you put it in a little capsule, you send it out in the world, and you just see what happens. It takes its journey. So that's enough about making stuff, but we're going to talk about the photo book. I'm doing something a little different here. So if you're out there, Jarrett, hey, what's up? But I have actually not seen this book yet. And what I'm actually trying to do is something a little different here. I put it through ChatGPT to give me a little summary before I look at the book, so I kind of know what to talk about. But I'm using it only as a guide, and I'm gonna really try hard, Jarrett, not to critique. I've always been in such a instructor setting where I'm like critiquing stuff, but I just want to I'm gonna really try hard, Jarrett, to talk about the book. So the book is entitled Walking by Jarrett, Emerson, Heather. It's a photography book built around a very simple and powerful idea, just going out and walking and seeing what happens. And I can't stress it enough. I love street photography. I love going out and just seeing what's out there, what's around the corner. That's always been my kind of thing, even as a kid. I love just going out and just sightseeing, people watching, looking at all kinds of stuff. And it's one of the greatest things you can do with just a camera. Just go for a walk. Just yesterday, actually, I was out for a walk with my my kids. They're on bikes, but it's just having to be able to be out in the world and take pictures, watch how lights change, see what kind of strikes at you. It's fantastic. So, the book, Walking, is a book about presence rather than destination. Heather literally talks about his photography. It's about being there. It's not chasing shots. It's not chasing the grand old photos. And like the thing about chasing shots also is that you're also really like trying to meet an expectation in your head that isn't out there in the world. So noticing whatever shows up out there, taking the pictures, have it make its journey, because what shows up on your camera, what's in the picture, it's real. And there's something magical about it. So it means you're going out just to have an experience. You're not looking for anything like crazy or special. You don't have you have an open mind about what's out there. And then something that's mundane kind of hits you differently, and it makes the photo walk or the experience worthwhile. And that's kind of the philosophy driving the book. So we're going to flip in to the pages here. If I could do this correctly, I am doing this on my screen PDF. So I'm going on to page number 2. Here we go. Celebrations at Memorial Park, Port Credit, Ontario. And these are like first impressions. They're seemingly kind of snapshots, right? The first one here, kind of an evening celebration, silhouettes, balloons up in the air. The second one here, walking with Jujube in Tanglewood, Nepean, Ontario. I'm curious, Jared, are these cats just people you know in the neighborhood? Are they friendly with you? What's the relationship with cats? Maybe I'll find out in this book. Let's continue on. I like that the first shot kind of starts with the location, and it's like a little bit vague. You got this green cast, and you got like this sun setting, and it's not like perfect lighting, obviously, but you have a second shot where it's more purposeful. You have a cat who's adorable, just kind of going along with you, and you can see the texture of the road, the pavement, the leaf that's on the ground. You're kind of in mid-stride, and all of this strikes to me as being very carefully looked at, but still snapshots. And I think there's something honest about snapshots in that way. I hope I'm going the right direction here. Yes, page number 5. This book celebrates 15 years of friendship. Gene Wilburn, aka Starbuck Guy, genewilburn.com. I'll have to take a look at his work. Was the first friend I made when I was new to photography. He was a regular at a coffee shop I worked at, and I returned there when I wasn't working for photography meetups. I brought my brand new Fuji Bridge camera in case it turned into a serious hobby, and Gene had a Canon G9 or a Nikon F80 film, D300, nice camera as well, Lumix, pen, etc. Then we go off to walk the village of Port Credit, Ontario. I wouldn't have dedicated myself for so long to the art of photography without the inspiration of Gene's moment-defining pictures and kind company. Very cool story. I had many uncertainties in this period of my life, but I have my mom to thank for her ongoing support in what was my first lifelong hobby. And photography really, if you have an interest in it, it really is a lifelong hobby, and you don't have to get to a specific destination. Just have that journey, okay? And I'm grateful to my friend Kenneth Fass at Outfront Publishing, who, after assisting on this book, proposed I should bring my long-sought photography book to life. So, we've got a picture here. That's the intro, or a thank you. Hamilton Mountain, Hamilton, Ontario. The one that strikes me here in the picture is that 7-Eleven sign. It's like, it's clearly very early in the morning, but that 7-Eleven just never changes its tone, the tonality, so it kind of sticks out at me there. Page 7, walking home. I was hurrying home with 20 city blocks to go under dimming light. Nothing special presented itself that day. Regretting the day's journey as biting temperatures set in, something stopped me. Something as I walked past at each intersection. Overhead power lines, transformers, bungalow houses, bungalow businesses, the 7-Eleven, an appliance repair shop. The clip of my pace warned me enough to take notice. The mundanity stood out. I overcame the shivers for a moment, long enough to take this photograph. The photograph, Hamilton Mountain, was not what I visualized on my way out the door. A bit of chance, empty of light, blue, yet it recalled the city where I once lived. This experience reminded me of all the photographs I've taken while walking to my destination, then leaving with not much to show for it. Again and again wonder, what if I stayed in that day? How many photographs fill this book from such days? As this book was compiled, I recollected those outings and at how finding that one photograph made it worth it. I learned that photography is about being there. Port Credit Lighthouse, Port Credit, Ontario. A lot of red with the Canadian flag. It's just kind of cool to see the tree being completely bare with that red popping right behind it. And one of the cool things is, like, you don't have to take pictures in like the best weather. Sometimes inclement weather, different times of the season, it really marks where you're at in life. So that's kind of cool. Sunset Memorial Park, Port Credit, Ontario. We got this silhouette of trees and then like a sunset coming out behind a playground structure. And these are like, these set of images already strike me as images that are seemingly candid, seemingly a snapshot, but there's a way of seeing around it. You're kind of like, there's this repetition through trees. There's this noticing light, noticing color. And I can tell by these images already, they're already very structured in how you're seeking these images. Dusk, J.C. Saddington Park, Port Credit, Ontario. Again, like very interesting lighting. I like the reflections in the water. Even just like this hue that's in the distance with the sun setting or coming up. Long exposure experimentation, Port Credit, Ontario. It reminds me of like a lo-fi image, possibly nighttime with what may be artificial light in the background. Some light trails, long exposure again. First outing, Port Credit, Ontario. I wonder if it's the first outing of this swan, because that looks like a baby swan and it looks really huge. Do swans grow that quick? I don't know. Wooden Pier, Port Credit, Ontario. Yeah, just places, seeing things. I really like the little light speckles of light on the water coming through. The Ridgetown serves as a breakwater. I'm assuming is the boat. I've seen that boat before in person. Not up close, really. Port Credit, Ontario. Different times of the season. That's kind of cool. Waterfront Trail at Tall Oaks Park, Port Credit, Ontario. Very picturesque. I think by far the first picture that strikes me has been a little bit abstract. You got these shades of green, and like the colors all create this micro contrast in the foreground, with that sunlight coming in. One of the coolest things you could do with foliage, even regardless of whether or not it's appealing, is making the colors separate from each other. And sometimes we have green on green, green on brown is a little poppy, and that actually looks visually more interesting. So I like that you have all this foliage in the foreground and the colors all distinctly stand out from each other, and it has its own form. Snug Harbor Restaurant, Port Credit, Ontario. I love Snug Harbor, by the way. I sat down and had dinner with Hazel McCallion in that restaurant. I did a series of photos for the city of Mississauga, photographing the mayor, and we stopped there for a lunch. We did a 2-day photo shoot. Hazel McCallion was a champ. She did order bourbon with her meal, and It was pretty badass because none of us ordered bourbon. Well, we probably weren't cleared on it. Snug Harbor again in the winter. The Lookout Trees, March Tree Park, Ontario. This is the first black and white image, I think. I like it's still got the defining features. Even as seemingly a snapshot, it looks like, Jarrett, you're going out in the right times of the day, getting these interesting lighting, looking at these places. And these are obviously places that you frequent quite often, right? I can kind of see that from the shots and the repetition happening. Shore, March Tree Park, Port Credit, Ontario. Again, good separation. If anything is to be said about your series of black and white images here right now, they are seemingly quite separated. I can see form. I can see nothing is muddied. One of the hardest things to get used to is editing black and white in such a way that nothing is muddy, so it doesn't like someone just like grayscaled it. Wooden Pier, J.C. Saddington Park, Port Credit, Ontario. Just wonderful textures in this image, especially with the ice, and I'm seeing like snow or snow, whether in midair or on the ice. Very subtle textures. Oh, again, different times of the season, fall. And I'm really starting to like this contrast of seasons. There's another one here of Snug Harbor. This time you use kind of a more vintage. It's almost like a play on time. Port Credit Lighthouse, Port Credit, Ontario. Canoe Club at sunset, Port Credit, Ontario. Very cool lighting. I like that little flare in the foreground. Banner, Confederation Park, Ottawa, Ontario. Just noticing these things that go through, right? Light going through this fabric, this material. Canada Geese taking flight, Port Credit, Ontario. I really like this shot. I like how it's got that vignette of trees and branches around on the edges, and you just have ducks in these seemingly perfect flight angles. I don't know what you call them, but like there's only certain number of times you can take a photo of a goose taking flight, and it looks actually majestic and epic. And I think you nailed it in this shot with just the way their wings are out. The Ridgetown from Tall Oaks Park, Port Credit, Ontario. Lightning Strike, Port Credit, Ontario. Kind of cool. You got, I like how you got the distance of the, there's like a light tower in the foreground, in the way in the back. It does make me wonder if this is the same tree, but I don't think, it doesn't appear to be. Picnic Table, St. Lawrence, Port Credit, Ontario. Quivering Tree, Riverwood Conservancy, Mississauga, Ontario. Overcast, J.C. Saddington Park, Port Credit, Ontario. I really like this one, 33, just the wisps of foliage, just kind of, it reminds me of a, is it a Talbot imprint? Early photography involved some photographic contact printing of like trees, branches, leaves, patterns. This kind of reminds me of that. Lake Ontario from Waterfront Trail, Port Credit, Ontario. I liked how some images just don't have a caption as well. Snowfall, Credit River, Port Credit, Ontario. I'm on 37. Snowball crumbles on the frozen Credit River. Very cool. Subtle details. I really like how this image is all reflections. And then you got this splatter of snowball just right on the ice there. Really cool. And it is, so far I'm noticing, it is really just an image after image of just noticing these little things. Ice fishers and ice hockey on the Credit River, Port Credit, Ontario. This is probably the first image of humans, people, but I like that it's kind of done subtly. They're part of the landscape. Untitled, Port Credit, Ontario. Waterfront Trail, Port Credit, Ontario. Really like the sun there. You can really feel the atmosphere with an image like this. Wooded lot on the Waterfront Trail, Port Credit, Ontario. If there's anything that strikes me through these pictures is that you're purposely just looking for things and putting it together with this intent that you're kind of looking for this light. Canada geese at dusk, Port Credit, Ontario. And I mean, to be fair, one of those things where it's whether it's dawn or dusk, chances are there isn't a lot of human activity, but the lighting is always interesting. So you can kind of pivot your attention towards that. Moonrise, Port Credit, Ontario. I like that little black bar right across. Community mailbox, Nepean, Ontario. So we're moving on to places around Ottawa. Okay, yeah, some. Maple Tree at Forest Avenue Public School. These are fantastic black and whites. Snow Ripples, Nepean, Ontario. Great textures on the snow. Tree branches trace through snow, Nepean, Ontario. Christmas garland, Nepean, Ontario. Like how we shifted right to Nepean, Ontario, and it's just snow, snow, snow. Snowman. Very cool. The snows, the with the weather and the snow, all these little figures of the snowman and the it just got a lot of texture to it, so it's really quite enjoyable to look at. House at entrance to Stonebridge Trail, Nepean, Ontario. Mid-April winter thaw, Nepean, Ontario. Back to Lake Ontario from Jack Darling Memorial Park, Mississauga, Ontario. They're very they're well composed. They're such well composed, looking out for things, looking at forms, and you're doing it in all these different weathers. And you know, these are not grand landscapes, right? You're not on an African safari. You're in these parks, but these snippets really show a thought for composition, a thought for lighting, and a thought for like the little details that happen in these scenes. Stillness on the Ottawa River, Ottawa, Ontario. Lake Ontario from Bruckner Gardens, Mississauga, Ontario. 63, I really like that single spot of light coming through the trees. Cut corn stalks. There's certainly a lot in these images to look at, and you can just spend there. You know, when you're confronted with an image, sometimes your eyes just don't. They glaze over the details, but there is such a range of things that allow your eye to kind of wander through. Even I'm looking at 67 here. Shapes and Shade, Jack Darlington Memorial Park. Just the silhouettes, just the patterns, just it's visually very enjoyable. Sunset Prince of Wales Drive. I mean, epic lighting. Really cool. Just with the clouds and the cloud structure. Local Kids at Toboggan Hill. Some of these have a very lo-fi look, and I like that it's seemingly kind of blended in. You got stuff that's very low hi-fi or very high quality straight image, and then you have something that's a little bit more lo-fi, and then you have some black and white. They're very well mixed in together. Farmhouse. Very moody weather. Halloween, Ontario. Fog, Hamilton, Ontario. Even this little gap of light that shows up. 82 treetops. Pinhey Forest. So, it gathers that this is a set of images created from 2007 to 2022. A lot of it's in the Port Credit area, Nepean, Hamilton, Mississauga, Ottawa. This is, again, ChatGPT giving the summary. The subjects are intentionally ordinary. You got picnic tables, power lines, snows, trees, trails, quiet streets, waterfront scenes. Nothing dramatic. You're not Instagram chasing. This is what ChatGPT actually pointed it out. It's more about mood, light, and noticing. Which, you know, you just heard it from me saying this prior. It is really about that. Jeez, ChatGPT just fucking surprises me from time to time. These are fantastic, just kind of like fantastic images from just, we don't notice like parks as like, we don't see it as like true nature. There's something about our brain that just thinks like, oh, like that's just the park. But you know, these things are wild. You walk out and you see these things, and they're just, it's life. It's moving, evolving all around you. Fantastic lighting. Nepean Creek, 89. Even the water, you just have that pattern in the water. Like everything in the image fills that space. I think we're looking now at like a lot of textures from 92 onwards. A lot of play with lighting. And these are images that are seemingly, to go from one image to the other, there isn't like a specific order. There isn't anything that's like directed. I love the kind of randomness of it. And you're shooting through, you know, your windshield at this tree. Silhouettes, shadows. (103), again, very mundane images, but you just have that, enough of that detail in the texture and the lighting. It does make the ordinary stand out in such a weird way. It's one of the cool things about photography and why you go look at it, why you go looking at certain images. Mailbox. Again, very interesting lighting. I think, Jarrett, you do have this eye for lighting, right? That one leaf in the air, incredible. Page 109. A Lone Falling Oak, Hancock Woodlands Park, Mississauga, Ontario. Again, more patterns. Lake Erie Erosion, Port Burwell, Ontario. This is a fantastic picture, 112. You see this progression of grass to like bare dirt, and then it just kind of falls off with all these limbs sticking out, and you got the lake in the background. You know, this image tells you more about, you know, nature and geography in one simple snapshot. Very cool. And it's also this is very inspiring even for me to look at, because it does make me want to like go out for more walks, take my camera out, photograph things. And one of the things I get stuck on is that I always almost seem to have a picture in mind, and I don't take enough chances, to be honest. I don't take enough chances when I just carry a camera sometimes. Because the more you do it, you do get more conservative, I find. And this is one of those things where like, if you are, no matter where you are in your career when it comes to photography, there are so many advantages depending where you are. There is no end goal. The end goal isn't to be a professional. You know, when I tell my students when they want to go out and photograph, I'm like, you can just go and cause havoc, cause chaos, take pictures, say sorry later. You don't know anything about life. You're just a student trying to create work. And that's fine. That's your advantage. That's your superpower. Go and take those images. Go and gamble and try things differently. I like this. There's a seemingly like a Halloween theme here with trees, neighborhoods, urban settings. There's the re-entry of Jujube the cat. I like how you started with the cat, Jujube, and then you end with it. That's fantastic. If you want to see Jarrett's book, I will post the link below. And it's just this is a fantastic book, and I'm happy to have seen it. I've been on the back and forth with Jarrett about this, and I've been trying to get the physical library copy, and I couldn't find it, but I got the PDF from Jarrett. So thanks for that, and thanks for letting me talk about your book. Fantastic book. And if you are looking to make a photo book like this, this is a great way to kind of show your image without having to feel like every image has to be a hit on Instagram, you know? Yeah, thank you, Jarrett. I think I've ran my time's worth on talking about photo books. If you are curious about Jarrett and his work, I want to find this and I want to show you. Let me go ahead and stop this recording. If you look for Jarrett Walks Ottawa, Jarrett is spelled Jarrett, Walks Ottawa. I'll probably put it on the screen anyways, but there's a series of images here where he's just out on walks, hanging out with cats. Jarrett, you mentioned about possibly a cat book. Love it. Let's see more. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching. Cheers.